Hey there, listener. Do you know about FOCO Cafe? They are our nonprofit of the month for May. This is a restaurant located in Fort Collins, often known around these parts as FOCO. But the FOCO in this restaurant name also stands for Feeding Our Community Ourselves. Their executive director, Mallory Garneau, was on episode 46 of this podcast. To support the show and FOCO Cafe, check out our website for more information. That's www.themoreyouknowco.com. Welcome to the More You Know Co, shining an audio spotlight on the awesome ideas and people of Northern Colorado. Human connection makes our lives better. Now is your chance. I am your host, Ivan Wayne. Let's go. Making something meaningful is often a goal we have for gifts, what we decide to do for other people, or the things that we create. Meaning turns moments of life into our memories. Today's guest is a shining example of this goal, and she internalizes an intentional drive to make meaning in everything that she does. If you have an idea for something during the episode, Tasia could probably make that idea happen for you. Without further delay, here's our conversation. Hello, listener. I sit here in person at a library in Greeley. Beautiful sunny afternoon with Tasia of Stallula. We thought we'd start with a detailed story of how that name unfolded because I wasn't sure what that name meant when I contacted you, first met you. And so how did this name come to be and why does it matter for your business?
Well, Stallula is important to me because it is a type of hummingbird, and hummingbirds are very important to me and my family because not only with what they signify and the whole aspect behind a hummingbird. They can fly in all directions. They can, they're very smart. They have lots of personality and everything like that. So also my mom was very into hummingbirds. She would draw them, paint them, print pictures out online, and really she was obsessed with birds and particularly hummingbirds. So we had magnets on the fridge of little hummingbirds, and we just remember them everywhere. But when I was thinking of my name, I was thinking of how to not only dedicate my business to her, but also just do something that was meaningful to me. And my sister, she said something along the lines, what about something with a hummingbird? So I researched hummingbirds and realized that Stallula is the one that I come across, and that happens to be the perfect name. And then I made sure there wasn't any major businesses with Stallula or stuff like that. So yeah. And then it just kind of happened, and it was the perfect timing right before I revamped my business and kind of skyrocketed. So
is it a breed of hummingbird then?
Mm-hmm.
And yes. Is there anything particular about this breed that made you think this is definitely the type? First, I guess maybe you happen to know, are there hundreds of types of hummingbirds?
There are a lot, yes.
Okay,
there are a lot. Bigger ones, smaller ones, and all different colors of feathers. And with the Stallula, I like it because it has pink, vibrant feathers on the neck. And that is awesome to me because I'm a very vibrant person and I love bright colors and everything that goes along with just the beauty of the bird, you know? So I like that one the best.
Yeah. And so have you been a hummingbird enthusiast as well? It got passed down to your family? I mean, do you have hummingbird feeders out? You try to watch them and stuff?
I do. It's actually a crazy story. We went camping last summer and we saw hummingbirds everywhere. There was a hummingbird by our campsite and it just kept humming by us, and you can hear them when you can't see them. So that's cool too. You can always know that they're there when you can't see them. So you can hear them hum and it would come and go to our campsite, and my son would be like, "Oh, do you hear that? It's back, it's back." And then we'd go miles down the road fishing, and there was another hummingbird just humming on the lake and like looking at the lake while we were fishing. So I haven't always been crazy about hummingbirds, but it's always been a part of my life. Just seeing them everywhere. And then I really started to research them more, especially after I started this business. And my family and I recently got tattoos of hummingbirds on the special day in February. So that was exciting. But
yeah, and I have this picture of you now. You have this business. It's named after this type of hummingbird. I imagine when you go on a camping trip or you go out in nature, you spread your arms out, and then hummingbirds from all directions just fly up to you.
I wish.
And they're like landing on you, and you know them all, and you talk to them. That was okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I see videos of these hummingbirds just landing in people's hands, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would freak out, because that's so cool and rare that happens. So
if people are not aware, Stellula by Tasia or Stellula, what does your business do?
I hand make jewelry and hand design different pieces. So I specialize in request pieces, and a lot of people come to me with ideas and things that they find, and they say, hey, can you recreate this for me? Or can you make this for my mom? Or can you make this for my sister? And a lot of those are special gifts, and those are my favorite things to do, is special requests. And I do a lot of leather work, so I do a lot of leather earrings and bracelets and stuff like that. And I'm really excited to see where that takes me, because, I mean, leather earrings are not always going to be a thing. So the part of being in this business is you have to find the next best thing, you know? You have to keep up with the trends, and you have to always try to stay on top of what is going to be popular, you know? So
speaking of staying on trends, I didn't even know that leather earrings was a thing. Are they like
huge.
Dangling or like leather studs? Really?
Yeah, leather dangling. I do a lot of petals. They look like little leather petal earrings. And then I do a lot of fringe work. A lot of them look like leaves. And I try to stick close to things that draw close to my attention. So if I like the look of something, I'm like, ooh, I can recreate that. Or just the other day, I was sitting at my desk at a standstill. Like, what am I going to make? What do I need to do? And I make a lot of my own stencils too for my leather earrings. And that's what is a huge part for me, is they literally come from my brain drawing on paper, and I cut them out myself. So I was looking at my mat that had all these lines on them, and I figured out a different stencil for a new earring. And so that's like my newest piece. So, I mean, it could be anything that attracts me to a new up and coming piece that is going to be my new thing. So,
right. Would you say earrings are your forte, your specialty?
Yeah, that's my most popular thing right now, is the leather earrings. And I am always doing request pieces. So I do a lot of stamp work with names and dates, and I also do some work with ashes, with dog ashes. My favorite piece that I did was a wife's husband's ashes. She wanted to do something with that and incorporate his wedding ring inside. So I actually used the wedding ring as a bezel and used the ashes as snow. And then we made mountains inside of it. And then I used the resin to make it look like a sunset. So the whole inside of the wedding ring was resin and his ashes, and she wears it around her neck.
No
every day.
Freaking way.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So that is my favorite thing to do, especially seeing their face after I give it to them. That's why I do what I do, is just to see their face and see how much they love it, and not only just that moment, but how they're going to feel when they wear it from then on. Every day they put it on, and it brings back a memory, or it makes them happy, you know? So
a lot of people will buy a piece because they think, oh, I got an outfit or an occasion for this.
Right.
But to get something like that made for you is that's another level to me. Personally.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
And it started because I lost my 2 dogs, and I wanted to do something with their ashes, and I figured out that, wow, I could use resin for these. And so I made a few pieces for me and my husband and made keychains and stuff like that. And I mean, I wear them all the time and I loved it. And I also cut a piece off my wedding dress and put it in a bezel, and I get to wear my wedding dress every day. Mm-hmm. So I made a few of those for other people, and it's just fun, you know? Who can say they wear their wedding dress every day?
Right. Did it weird you out when you first saw, when you take a human body and you reduce it to ash, how little matter there is?
Yeah.
It's very small.
It is crazy, especially dealing with it for the first time. It was hard, you know, but just knowing what was going to be the outcome, it's awesome. That's why I do what I do, is just to make special pieces for people. Yeah,
and I had no idea you did this.
Yeah.
So the reason I contacted you was actually Emily Cassidy, a former guest on the show, was wearing your earrings during the episode. And I noticed them there were these really sweet, like black feather looking things. And so I thought that was essentially your style. When it comes to that, because I was looking on your website, a lot of pieces seem very natural, you know, bird-like or things that would fit very well with someone who lived in Colorado, like
absolutely.
Ourselves. Yep. How'd you end up crafting that style? You know, was it hummingbird inspired, or was it like from nature, or did it just kind of slowly evolve because of you saw requests and what was popular?
A majority of everything mixed together. So I kind of saw what was popular, what was going on, and then I also put my own twist on it to be more nature-like. So feathers are a huge thing too. I fringe the leather to look like a feather, and I just kind of spiral. Once I get this idea, it just keeps morphing into different things. So,
and you do not have a physical storefront yourself, right? You operate out of Blush Boutique.
Yep, I am. She is the first person to carry my stuff in her boutique. So thanks to Emily, that's how kind of my business just kind of skyrocketed and my name really got out there. And I also just started my website. So that is up and running, and hopefully that picks up some speed, and then hopefully just keep going from there.
So before this, you were just doing stuff for fun and for other people, and you let it travel by word of mouth. Yep. Did something click or turn over for you to say, I no longer want to do this for friends and family. I want to do this as my career?
Yeah. I had a lot of ideas, and I knew from a long time ago that this is what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how I was going to go about that. And most importantly, financially, you know, it costs a lot of money to start doing this. And luckily I've been doing it for over 12 years. So I slowly have built my tools, and I mean, I have a lot of crafting stuff in my basement. So I have a lot of stuff, but it took a while to do that, you know, and I always knew that this was something I wanted to do full time, and I did have a full-time job before we had my son. I worked in retail for 6+ years, and then I was a stay-at-home mom while I had my son. And then I went back to work for a little while, and I was unhappy in that position. And then I was literally just had a moment like, I need to leave this job. And luckily my husband is very supportive, and I called him and I was like, well, I got to figure something out because I just left. And so luckily, by the grace of God, everything happened for a reason, and it just fell into place. And Emily's shop was opening up a couple of months after that. And so she was like, yeah, I'll carry your stuff. And I mean, before that, I was purely request, and I would sell stuff on Facebook. I've always had like a Facebook page selling stuff, which was always like my side gig, you know, but I could never support myself full time. But it was always just fun money, you know. My husband obviously supports our family, and I wanted to do something and turn it into something for our family, not only a hobby. And I mean, I love it. And it's like my zen. This is like, some people do yoga, I make jewelry.
Right. So how long have you been in the full-time game now?
A little over a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which is nice. It's kind of exciting because a lot of people we've had on the show have had this moment pretty far in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear people's reflections on the struggle and that switch, but yours is really recent. And
right.
So you have just crafted your website. You're exploding now because of Blush Boutique. You're figuring out what the next steps look like. So you're in the midst of it. And I think it's a healthy reminder for any listeners who have been with the More NoCo for a while now. They've heard this type of pattern with so many people, right? Because we've had a lot of entrepreneurs on who they go to their job day in and day out. There's this creeping realization that not only do I not enjoy it, but I cannot endure it anymore. And they take that courage at some point to leap out there and say, I'm unhappy enough, I'm going to change it. I'm going to take a risk, jump off the financial board and do it.
Exactly.
But what people forget, and it starts to sound like this is everyone, but it's not, right? Because there are so many people who will continue doing things that they don't like, and they'll just do things as a hobby. And so I want listeners to remember that it's not like 9 out of 10 people around you are starting their own business. Right. It is hard. It is. It is risky. It is scary.
It's scary,
There'll be some nights when you're like, what the hell am I doing? Is it time to go back? And then that next morning, you couldn't be more grateful that you're in the saddle and being an entrepreneur right now.
Absolutely. There was a lot of thoughts going through my head that it was scary to take a leap of faith to do this full time. But luckily, I had the support from a lot of different people, including my husband, that was just like, just go for it. Like, what have you got to lose? And you just kind of had to live by faith, not by fear, and just keep pushing is the main thing. Just keep hustling and don't give up, doing what you got to do to get things done, and don't question yourself or don't listen to the naysayers that are like, oh, I've seen that, I've done that, I don't think this is going to happen for you full time, or don't listen to the lies. Just believe in yourself and have faith, When you start something like this, and I can speak about this from personal experience from the podcast, not that I make hummingbird inspired jewelry, but you really fast start to find out who those people are in your life that will be negative about what you're trying to do. Yeah. And then it's kind of like, ooh, I'm going to limit the amount that I talk about this venture and this risk around those people not because I don't love them, not because they're not important in my life, but because they're like sucking my life force away. Oh, and I need air in the balloon. You need energy
to keep going.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely been there's still people in my life like that, that they support me, but they don't physically support me. They don't give me confidence. They don't check on me to see how things are going. And not necessarily that I need that, but it's just nice to have support. If I do shows or if I go to vendor events, it's nice to have that person just to come there and say hi, or come there and say, I support you. I love what you're doing. I love that this is where you want to be and you're pursuing it. Not just like, oh, I'm going to come and buy something from you. I don't care about that. I care about the main support.
I think some of it is just lack of understanding. Right. Because I think if people have never created, or if they've never made themselves that vulnerable, they don't get how, unfortunately, the ego and our self-worth gets like tied up in these creative projects. And so it's not that they're like maliciously not supporting people in their life, right? But it sometimes maybe they don't even know what to say. They don't know how to be there and empathize with you. Yeah. So it's just some days you're the only one. I know. And you gotta relight that fire. Yeah. So did you reach out to Emily to get into Blush Boutique? Did you find you? How did this connection start?
We had a lot of mutual friends, and she had a backyard event when her boutique was still in the basement, and she had like a ladies' night, and she invited me to do a booth in the backyard, and that's where I met a lot of the gals, blush babes as she calls them, from there. And we connected, and she talked to me about opening up the boutique, and we had talked about, I don't even know how it came about. We were just kind of like, oh, you sell my jewelry? And like, I will totally do that. And of course, that was like, that's huge for me, because that's a big opportunity, especially for somebody that took the leap of faith to do that. And it was just literally a godsend that she was just like, this is what I'm doing, and I want you to be a part of it.
A lot of people perceive other people in their realm as competition, right? You and Emily could have easily been adversarial. Right. Hey, I'm selling accessories and clothing. I'm selling these. But no, it was like you all found a way not only to coexist, but you benefit one another. Your products being in Emily's store contribute to Blush. The traction in her store contributes to you. And this is healthy notion that's also been repeated multiple times in this podcast through random guests is that if you can drop the jealousy, the fear of other people in your realm and you can collaborate with them, what are we fighting for?
Absolutely.
We can help each other.
Yeah, you got to build each other up and help each other's businesses, and they're just doing what I want to do, you know? Like, they want to spend more time with their family and they want to pursue their dreams. So we got to support each other and build each other up.
I think negativity and envy and looking for enemies also does a really good job of pouring water on that fire.
Oh, yeah.
That you sometimes have to light under your own rear, right? It's like, but there's positivity in the community and it's like, oh man, she is getting it. She's awesome. I'm inspired. I can do that too. It's way better than looking across the aisle and being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's selling this much and she makes this and she has this many followers. No, that's going to do no good.
Well, it's hard to look at that because there's so many social media things that you can get caught up in and look at and compare yourself to them, you know? Other people on Instagram, I'm like, oh my gosh, like they have so many followers or they have such beautiful pictures or something like that. And you start to doubt yourself, like, is my stuff not good enough or what am I doing? Or you just can't let those thoughts absorb your brain because it'll just bring you down.
Yeah, but you could also sponge it in the right way.
Right.
See, if you collaborate, ask them, I noticed that you've had real success with this. How'd you think that? How'd you come up with that? You know, and just see if there are things, not necessarily that you want to copy, obviously.
Right.
But just tools that you can pick up as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, you said you had 12 years of experience. You have literal tools taking up the basement, right? But you also have this like mental set of things of like this ash idea of making meaningful presents with people's ashes or their pets. That's something that if I were to start a jewelry business today would not have been in my toolbox until I sat down and heard from you.
Yeah, it's something that definitely just came about randomly one day, but I'm so glad it did because, I mean, that's a huge, not only just that, but random things that people ask me to make that are just so sentimental to them, and that's why I love it. I make baby teethers too, so, I mean, just seeing someone's post on Instagram with one of my baby teethers and the baby is just smiling and drooling everywhere, like, I love that, you know?
In a way, it's genius because your R&D department are your customers who are already buying from you. Yeah. They're helping you figure out what to make next. That's genius.
Yeah.
So it's not all having to come from...
It's working. It's working.
You're like, yes, I know. Don't give out the secrets. Yeah. So are there any big things on your plate right now or like next steps for the future for Stallula that have really been taking up your free time?
There is always stuff in the back of my mind. I have so many different ideas and things that I really have to narrow down. I'm always looking for the next thing that's going to be awesome, you know, just that next thing that people are going to love. And how am I going to start that? I feel like I have so many ideas, but I can't even express what they are because every day I look around and I'm like, oh my gosh, that'd be such a good idea. Or
do you write these ideas down? Do you keep them on your phone?
I should. Yeah. I don't, and I should because I have a horrible memory. So
what I do is I text things to myself.
I text things to my husband, and and he's like, "Are you keeping ideas or getting people's orders if I'm at a show and I don't have my paper on me or something?" I text an order to my husband, and that's kind of how I keep it close.
That's funny. Yes, I started texting myself when I was like, oh, I got to remember to ask this guest, or, oh, what if I did this, and et cetera.
I know. I need to, like, have my main number on speed dial or something.
So you're happy with what you've got, but you are always looking to see what could I possibly do next, because you never know what untapped realm and idea is out there. Yeah. I mean, the flagship ideas that you have now, like these leather earrings, at one point, that was a mystery to you. It wasn't in the playbook, but it is now.
Like, I started making feather earrings because feather earrings were, like, real feather earrings were all the rage, you know? So I started making those, and then people loved them. So I sold tables of these feather earrings to people for, like, $3. And then someone came to me with a request, and I made that for them. I remember the first piece I made as a request was a fireman's axe out of wire. And she was like, do you think you can make this? I know it's a long shot and you don't really do this. And I was like, well, I could try.
Right.
And I did, and she loved it. And I was like, I love doing this. So going from making feather earrings to making leather earrings, fads fade out in and out. So you never know what's going to be the next thing. And I'm just always on the hunt for that, you know, like anybody else in a business. You got to do your research. You have to definitely use social media and the internet and see what trends are happening and how you can put your own spin on it. And I just want to produce that stuff and make it affordable for my customers. So
yeah. And I noticed on your website you said that you would not be here today if it weren't for the support of other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that also gets kind of misrepresented about entrepreneurs. We lift this one person up. They are God among us. They've done so many great things without looking at the hundreds of people who helped them get there.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned your husband. We mentioned Emily. Is there other people who might hear this podcast or not who have been a huge influence or are there to thank for how far you've gotten?
There are a lot of people below me that I look at it like a pyramid. You know, the people on top are the people that are doing the business, that the only people see, you know, but then there's other people that have built them up on the pyramid. So yeah, my husband, Emily, my family, of course, and then all of my customers. I would not be here without them. Anybody that spreads the word about my business is somebody that helped me. My brother is a huge person that helps me out because he does listen to a lot of podcasts and he listens to entrepreneur things, and he's always like, this is what you got to do to boost your posts, and this is what you have to do to build yourself up. And he's always giving me little hints to do and just keeps me kind of motivated in that way. And I mean, my customers are the main thing because they support me so much and give me so much happiness and success, and they really just know why I'm doing it and want to support my business and shop small. And if it, first of all, it wasn't for my husband, I would never be here because someone's got to pay the bills. And I wasn't doing that at first, so.
And help you every night when you're sitting there in doubt and you're around that campfire of self-reflection and self-doubt, and that person comes in and says, one more day, keep going.
Yeah, and you have to talk to somebody about all your negative comments or it'll just drive you crazy. And every time I get a negative comment, I just talk to him about it. And he's like, you know, just don't even think about that. Like, why are you thinking that? Look at where you've come from and look at what you've done and look at where we are right now. And, you know, of course, your main support has to be your spouse. So
yeah,
it's huge.
So if people are interested, they want to check out your products, they're interested to learn more about you, where can we send listeners of the show?
I have my website, of course, delulabytasia.com. And I also have a Facebook page and Instagram. So those are all linked from my website. And I also have an email, delulabytasia@hotmail.com, if they want to email me for some requests, ideas, or, I mean, anything they got. Bring it my way and I'll recreate it somehow.
Excellent. And if they want to just go in an in-person place, Blush Boutique in downtown Greeley.
Yep, Blush Boutique has a lot of my stuff. I also carry a lot of different stuff that's not there. But if they need a quick gift, that's where they go. Okay.
Well, Tasia, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been great. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
For more about this podcast or our other guests, visit www.themoreyouKnowco.com. We have had so many wonderful conversations, you have to give the other episodes a shot. You never know what you're going to find. Thank you to Trevor for mixing and editing all our episodes. Thank you to Kelsey for our awesome logo and artwork. And Russell Isaac Long, my man, and guest of episode 67, is responsible for all our music used here on The More You Know Co. So grateful for you, my friend. We will be back soon, listener. Who will it be? What the heck are we going to discuss next? Until next time, peace.